Whether it's a hot time in Florida or a rainy night in Georgia,
looking for trouble?
It's the perfect time for the TCBCast, an unofficial Elvis fan podcast.
Oh, yes, sir. Good to see you. Go for it. This black fix bring you the hottest thing in the country. Real hot and blue. Coming to WHB in Memphis, Tennessee.
With your hosts, Justin Gosman and Gurdip Ladar. The TCBcast is on the air.
Welcome to TCBcast, an unofficial Elvis Presley fan podcast. I'm Justin Gosman.
And I'm Gurdip Ladar.
Gurdip, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm awake.
You're awake? Yeah, this is early in the morning. But how's your last few days been?
No, it's been good. Quiet. We did our live show, and that went really well. I was really happy with the turnout.
Yeah, I was afraid that as a podcast listening experience, it wouldn't be as good. But since we had the trailers playing in the background, you can actually hear them and us talking over it. I think it works.
Yeah, it translates pretty well.
Last few days, I've been going through my books now as well. I started reading that was it Alan Hansen Elvis 57, which I bought I don't know how long ago.
Like 2 years ago.
Finally getting around to that. I got Edward's History of Rock audiobook.
Oh, that's an excellent one.
Listening to that, and then you sent me a copy of that wrestling video game book.
Yeah.
So going through that. So I've been reading. That's what I've been doing.
So you know how to get through those now?
Yeah, I know. Books. There's wonderful things called books. Before we start, I just want to bring up another thing. So I found this weird bootleg called Elvis Such a Night, the Definitive Live Rarities Collection.
Yeah.
And what it is essentially is like soundboard recordings or audience recordings of Elvis songs that are rare that he wouldn't normally perform on stage. And I was just going through the track list. Now, I haven't listened to this yet. And maybe you can throw in a little clip of it. But there's Elvis doing his latest flame on this.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't look into where or when. I guess he did it in 71. That's the date listed. 03, 09, 71. So I guess he did do it one time.
How's it sound?
As I said, I haven't listened to it yet.
Oh.
I was just like headed to bed when I saw when I got this, so I was like, let's I'll listen to it after, but then obviously we're doing the show, so you and I will both hear it at the same time.
Perfect.
All right, so
what
else is going on?
Well, Danzig dropped his Danzig Sings Elvis album finally.
That's true. So I had to listen to some of the tracks on here. What do you think?
I think it's a very earnest piece of crap.
Why do you say that?
He sounds old. He just does not. He's trying to do these 50s Elvis songs or these early 60s Elvis songs where Elvis was and very faithful in arrangement.
Oh, really faithful.
All that does is showcase just how old he sounds compared to Elvis.
My life has been empty. My heart has been torn. It must have been raining the night I was born. I'm just a lonely blue boy. Oh, that's my name.
Well, he's not supposed to sound like Elvis. It's Danzig Sings Elvis.
I'm aware, but it doesn't even sound like good Danzig.
See, now, I don't know what good Danzig is, because to me, he sounded like someone who's trying to sound like Elvis, and that's what he's doing throughout all the tracks. He's trying to keep it as faithful to Elvis as possible, not putting his own spin on it at all. He's basically doing Elvis as Elvis would have done it.
Yeah,
Am I correct?
Honestly, I would have much rather preferred Danzig doing Elvis songs much more in Danzig's style, which is more metal.
Right.
What do you think overall? Did you like it? Did you dislike it?
It's interesting to hear once. It's not like I would listen to this because he doesn't do anything really. He just sings it like Elvis.
Yeah.
So, and then they have, they've added heavier guitars in some of the parts. But...
Yeah, Baby Let's Play House is maybe the closest to what I kind of was imagining.
Right.
Well, listen, let me tell you, baby, what I'm talking about. Come on back to me, little girl, so we can play some house. Now, baby, come back, baby girl. Come back, baby girl. Come back, baby, I want to play house. Let's play some house.
But one thing I can say, that's good about it, and like I said, I mean, it was very earnest. He clearly loves Elvis's music, and I'm not gonna knock that. But the idea that I'm watching reviews and stuff on YouTube of other music fans reviewing the album,
right?
And what's been really interesting is that he's kind of introduced the originals to metal fans in a way by doing this album. So I'll give him credit for that, because they've gone back and they've compared it to, a lot of reviewers are going, well, I went back and listened to Elvis's stuff, and I'm like, that's great.
Well, that's good. But metal fans are actually listening to this?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, as long as he's doing that, I have no problem with it. But yeah, this is not something I would pick up again. It's like, there's really no point.
Yeah, I would say it's worth a listen once, and that's probably it for me. So
yeah, any of our listeners here who might have checked it out, just let us know what you think.
Yeah,
maybe they like it.
Yeah.
What was the other piece of news we got?
Yeah, so there was actually, this is kind of fitting for today's topic, but I sent you an article from CNN about what's called Jukebox, which is an open AI research laboratory. And essentially what it is that it's a neural network that uses samples to generate songs based on either lyrics or metadata, like artist, genre,
brand new
year.
songs.
So they can do completely new songs with completely new melodies, lyrics, but it can also take like a 12-second sample of an original song and then sort of auto-complete the rest just by filling in the blanks itself with sort of a different melody. Or it can accept the lyrics of a song, like the actual lyrics of a song, and just create a new melody for it.
Right.
Or even transpose it onto a different style or to a different artist.
Now, we listened to some of the Elvis ones. What did you think?
So I thought it was really interesting. The featured one that they include on their blog, which on the blog post that they have, they really try to highlight the ones that I think are the most appealing in terms of like complete audio, because they actually have opened up a sample explorer where you can listen to. They've got like over 7,000 songs generated, including 43 using Elvis as a bass.
Right.
And some of them you can hear where it's just kind of like the lyrics are very jarbled, very mumbly.
Yeah, you can't
They're
understand
not clear.
what he's saying.
And so I think they tried to pick the ones that were maybe the most clear or the most, consistent in terms of, the melody that was going for. But the one that they included on that blog post doesn't really sound much like Elvis at all.
No.
But then you go and listen to the actual, the other songs that were, created, generated, and some of them actually do. You can hear, where they've sampled, and it's not like you can pick out specific, because we talked about, on our very first remix episode, we talked about a song that a guy had pulled out literally clips of Elvis singing and auto-tuned them to make it a new song.
Yeah.
For me tonight, no right, give me life, a sheet love, and it feels alright.
it's not quite like that. It's more you're just getting it's sampling like sections of words and things like that, but it's doing it. It's hard to explain. It almost sounds like you're listening to a dream of Elvis singing.
Yeah, if you were having some kind of dream and all these Elvis songs are in your mind and then they all like are smashed together.
Yeah,
you're like somewhat cohesive. But thing is though, Elvis's voice changed throughout his whole history of performing, and it's hard because they pick from different from different eras, and then they make a new song out of it. So it's kind of like his voice sounds like a 70s Elvis, and then we go to the 50s, 60s, like it keeps bouncing back.
Right.
And you're like, what?
Well, that I think is the biggest problem with the one that they highlighted is that I think they used way more samples from across his career, whereas there are other ones where they used some of that metadata, like they picked like, okay, we're only going to use the 70s stuff here, and we're only going to pick the live stuff here. Yeah. And those ones tend to sound a little more consistent. Like on the live ones, you can actually even hear like sort of the fuzz of the audience reacting underneath, and at moments it does sound like Elvis. It's kind of eerie. There's one where they feed in the original lyrics of the song off King Creole called New Orleans, but it's done in like a 70s style. And that one's interesting. It obviously has a completely different melody and stuff like that, but that's kind of interesting.
You'll never know for me until you've been down to New Orleans till it's pretty through. With stone dark eyes, baby, with bye you will never seen no secret dog wind like the gentleman New Orleans.
Then there's one where they fed in the lyrics to Michael Jackson's Billie Jean.
Really?
Yeah, and it's interesting too.
Now, what's the point of this?
The idea, well, I mean, it's science. You're exploring what science can do. Can you create algorithms that can take samples and create some? It's the old classic example of science going, why not?
Yeah, I get it. You can never replicate the feel of
No. And they even talk about, that like songwriters don't have to worry because it doesn't understand song structure. It doesn't understand melodic structure. It's just sort of using what the scientists are telling it is a vibe and what is technically like, music. And but it's not actually, there's no hooks, there's no choruses, there's no verses. Other than like if they put in lyrics that have a verse, it'll spout out those lyrics. What's cool is when you go into the whole archive of all the different recordings, a lot of them actually have a visualizer as you're listening, and you can actually see how closely they're following the lyrics and where the computer is actually pulling some of the lyrics from. And it's interesting to see where like it'll be following the lyrics of the song and then all of a sudden it'll pick up on something way at the end of the song. It is really like a dream. It's bizarre in that way.
Weird.
Where it's just
just like a stream of consciousness thoughts, like just constantly going, no hook, we just keep talking.
Exactly. It's spouting out data, the way that it thinks it should be doing that. It's really interesting, and neural network technology is something that I've seen used for like image processing and stuff like that. So it's interesting to hear it, and you get some really trippy visualizations. I've seen some of those collages and stuff that people have thrown into neural networks, and it looks psychedelic and stuff. And this is sort of the audio equivalent of that, and it creates some interesting soundscapes. Obviously, it's never going to be a replacement for.
No. We're not going to get a new album of Elvis new tunes.
Not from this. Although you never know. 20 years down the road, the technology could, get to a point where it's polished enough where they could actually, use sort of the basis of that technology where it more seamlessly blends the audio samples and kind of because the thing with we not only that Elvis one that we talked about on our first remix episode, but the one that I talked about also at the time was the Conway Twitty one where they patched in lines of him singing stuff.
Right.
And it still sounds pretty jarring, and you can tell where the cuts are.
I wanna hear a cheap song by somebody doing someone wrong.
A story that's about real life with a simple melody. Oh, forget about the I love you.
And that's not as much the case in this one. So if they get that part of it where they can, blend it a little better, maybe down the road we'll get something, not a new Elvis song, but a new song utilizing samples of Elvis's voice. For
sure. Interesting that you brought up Conway Twitty, because I might be talking about him later in the show. A sneak preview. So what was the other thing? Oh, we were going to quickly discuss I Was the One?
Yes, yeah. So you sent me the I Was the One album, which came out in 83, correct? Which I had never listened to before. Oh. But it was sort of the second remix album, I guess you would call, overdubbed. It was
overdubbed, not really remix. Because the main reason for this was, I think, that back in... Well, they recorded the overdubs in 82 at House of David studio in Nashville on June 22nd. And obviously, House of David was by David Briggs, who was the keyboard player for Elvis in the 70s.
Yes.
I guess he had his own studio. And back in the early 80s, there was that rockabilly revival thing happening.
Yes.
Stray Cats were really popular. So this was like RCA's attempt to kind of corner some of that market. And what they wanted to do essentially was create new stereo recordings of these original monos and then bring in as many of the original elements that they could. So they brought in the Jordanaires, they brought in Scotty and DJ, along with Dale Sellers and Emery Gordon, and then obviously David Briggs also. And so as you said, it came out in 83. But the interesting thing was, when I got this first, I got the tape version of this back in 87. And it wasn't called I Was the One. It was called Paralyzed for some odd reason. And another strange thing is, it was the same old tracks. It was the same mono tracks. They didn't... So there must have been some kind of mix-up. There was not... These weren't the overdub versions. These were just the straight regular version that you can get. And I was like, so what's the big deal with this tape?
So it sounds like you actually just got a completely different album. You didn't. I got
the same album with the same tracks, but these were the original versions.
Oh, that's weird.
That's just so
like it was
bizarre.
The same order.
It was the same order too, although it was called Paralyzed, not I Was the One. And then when I bought it, I was like, well, what's the big deal with this? I mean, it had the same cover and everything. And then it wasn't until I got the actual vinyl, because I think the dude at Neptune Record was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that tape, but this is... And the album was inexpensive, and he's like, this is the album and has those overdubs that it lists in the front. So I got that, and I was like, now I get it. I was like, well, why did they fool me back when I got this tape? What's the deal with RCA there? But, whatever. So what do you think? What do you think about this?
So, folks will remember we talked about the Elvis medley, and it's sort of heavy-handed, overdubs with the drums and
This Is Elvis.
This Is Elvis. The album and the movie featured some substantial overdubs, particularly on the 50s material, stuff like the television performances, really kind of punching up the the percussion, a little bit of the guitar and bass, but really just kind of fleshing it out. But it's very noticeable. You listen to it, there's a lot of pop.
Because those were live recordings, and obviously if you overdub stereo over something that's live and kinescopes, you're going to notice it.
Yeah, it's too clean. Yeah. But this album, so you go back and you listen to the Guitar Man album, and it's also very obvious, despite that, they're now using Elvis's studio vocal, that, it's new instrumentation, it's new arrangements.
They stripped it.
I Was the One goes kind of in the opposite direction, where they keep the arrangements like 100%, and they really just kind of... honestly, you sent me this, and I kind of couldn't tell, that it was anything different than the original.
It's
that's
stereo.
how. That's how.
the thing.
Yeah, it's pretty seamless. You put headphones on, and you can tell. Oh, yeah, there's separation now.
Yeah.
But that's about the extent of it. So, in the sense that it's very seamlessly done, I'll give them credit for that. But it's definitely not as
apparent.
Yeah, it's not as apparent. When you
it
first
has a little
listen.
bit songs like "You're So Square." It has a little bit more punch to it.
Yeah.
But then you go to "Little Sister," and you're like, I don't detect anything. And why is "Little Sister" on here anyway? Because that was already in stereo.
Yeah.
Little sister, don't you? Little sister, don't you? Little sister, don't you kiss me once or twice, then say it's very nice, and then you run. Little sister, don't you do what your big sister done.
So you're like, huh? And Don't and Wear My Ring Around Your Neck and Paralyze also, they've been a little bit more punched up, but yeah. Mm-hmm. I like I Was the One. It sounds more full. But
yeah. Like I said,
otherwise,
it's not bad at all. It's just, it's surprising how seamless it was. Because we were talking about, possibly reviewing it as a full episode. And then I actually got it from you and listened to it. And I'm like, it's just the original recordings with just slightly more, stereo width, and a little more separation.
Yeah, because Scotty and DJ are just doing what they did in the originals.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So I was like, I don't know that I can pull an entire episode out of this, but I thought it was appropriate to talk about, considering our topic for today, to show the progression of Elvis remakes, overdubs, and remixes over the years.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, again, let us know what you think if you've ever heard of I Was the One. Although I got to say that cover is really nice.
Yeah, it is. It is, with that sort of neon. I mean, it's very 80s.
It's very 80s. It's very rockabilly, Stray Cats, trying to copy that. But come on, you got to say the RCA picked up their game on this one when it comes to
Speaking of the Stray Cats, we might be talking about them in a little bit too.
Oh. Again, preview. Okay, so what's our episode about?
So our episode, as I alluded to, we're covering Elvis's Remixes, Volume 3. Went back into my long and storied collection of
Your
Elvis.
dusty archive?
Yes. Almost literally, when I recovered, because I explained the story before, but just in case people hadn't gone back and listened to that first episode, I had a hard drive, it crashed, and then I lost, I couldn't get access to it. Finally got it recovered.
And you were a collector of remix.
I had been collecting pretty much since I became an Elvis fan, and A Little Less Conversation and Rubberneckin' really kind of started that interest. And then in the early 2000s, it became a lot easier to create remixes as, kind of consumer level technology, computer software allowed for people to add beats.
It's safe to say you're not one of those purists who do not like Elvis being remixed.
That is correct. So
why do you think that is? Why do you think that? Because maybe you got to Elvis later in life?
I think so. I think that's part of it. And also, I again, as we talked about with Shane and Jason when they were on, because they were very much of a different mind, I don't have the... I can set aside that it's not... it's not painting a mustache on the Mona Lisa. It's making a copy of the Mona Lisa and painting a mustache on that. It's whatever that producer or that DJ, it's their interpretation of the original piece of art. It's not a replacement for the original piece of art. It's not attempting to replace. It's just a different interpretation. And remix culture, I mean, I know there are a lot of purists out there, but I guess probably being in a new generation, I understand remix culture a little better.
I grew up with hip hop and rap, and how many remixes come out of the song?
Oh my God, so
the
many.
the actual artists used to have singles of their songs, and then there would be like a remix version.
Yep.
On the other side, like remix, and then you get into the whatever. So I grew up with that. So listening to Elvis remix, to me, it was like, oh wow, this is great, and it's something else I can listen to.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and dig in. Like we talked about, we did a first volume our first year. Last year we did one with Ryan. Actually, was on.
You wouldn't let me on that.
I wouldn't let you on it.
No, I'm back.
You're back. You pinned me down.
I was like, I slapped you across the face. I'm like, I'm doing volume 3. I don't care what Rusty says.
So the first remix that I wanted to showcase for you was Viva Las Vegas, the Josh Wildfire remix.
Bright light city, gonna set my soul on fire. Got a whole lot of money that's ready to burn, so get those stakes up higher. There's a mountain pretty women waiting out there. They're all living the devil may care, and I'm just a devil with love to spare. Viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas.
Wow, club track.
Yes.
It's, time to start shaking our asses.
Yeah. No, this is from the very early 2000s, and it's got a lot of overdubs. I mean, there's beats, obviously. There's what would you call that chirping sample?
Yeah, I don't know what that was. But
It sounds like a cricket throughout most of the song. It's kind of weird, actually. But there's harmonica on it. There's more percussion. There's loops. I really like this one. It's very of its era, but it's fun. What do you think?
I like it. I like that pounding beat overdub over the original song. And then they, as you said, they added sound effects here and there. Now, I don't know if I would listen to this in my car, but if we're like having a party or something, and I would totally drop this in to get people dancing.
Got a whole lot of money that's ready to burn, so get those stakes up high. There's a fine pretty women waiting out there. They're all living the devil may care, and I'm just a devil with love to spare. Viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas.
Where did you get this?
So this is one that I found online. I think it was 2004 this came out.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I do like this. It sounds good.
Yeah. This one is pretty hard to find nowadays. So this is it's not an exclusive, but it's been a long time since this has really been out there and easy to find. So I like it.
Cool. Nice. I liked it too.
Yeah. Next one I wanted to go on to and showcase was Wearing That Loved On Look remix.
Oh, yeah. I always love this song. And then when they drop they drop the beat, and it's totally beautiful. It's great. Like the song comes on, and then it just stops, and then Elvis goes up with those opening lines, and then it gets all funky and groovy.
I had to leave town for a little while. You said you'd be good while I'm gone. But the look in your eye done told me you told a lie. I know there's been some carrying on. Baby, wearing that love don't look.
And I like that they kept some of the original elements there. It just added to it. It's a great mix.
This is one of my favorite unofficial Elvis remixes because they keep the vast majority of the original recording there. And just make some minor tweaks to the arrangement in terms of, it opens with that instrumental break from the middle of the song, and then it stops, and then, like you said, Elvis comes in with that very gospel-influenced intro, and then the drums are just really on. They don't stand out too much. They blended it really well. Yeah. It's not overly gimmicky. And so
No, I totally added this to my playlist.
Yeah. This is one that actually is in my regular rotation of over like all of my music that I listen to in my car, not just my Elvis music, but like in general, because I like this one so much.
Nice, excellent.
Yeah. The next one I wanted to highlight is one from, I believe it's DJ Sire and DJ Sater, Suspicion.
Every time you kiss me, I'm still not certain that you love me. Every time you hold me, I'm still not certain that you care. Oh, you keep on saying you really, really love me. Do you speak the same words to someone else when I'm not there? Suspicion torments my heart. Suspicion keeps us apart. Suspicion my heart to leave.
Now, as soon as this opened, I really like that driving beat.
Mm-hmm.
But the only problem for me, it sounds a little muddled. I don't know if you got that as well. Obviously,
Yes.
I guess they didn't have the acapella.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
so they're...
they just added whatever, was already there. And they play around with the beat, which is nice. And we get those pauses.
Yeah.
And does this sound, to me, a little sped up?
It is. It is sped up ever so slightly.
Yeah. Also, I mean, you could say that driving drum machine beat was a little overpowering, but I don't know.
Yeah, so
Sounds
more
nice.
more so than the previous one. This one kind of gets to the point where it does step it away from the original song quite a bit, to where it's really doing more hip hop type stuff.
Yeah.
And they even sort of change Elvis's phrasing at one point, just because they try to make it match the beat rather than matching the beat to the song.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but it's not bad. I don't much care for the ending where
Really? I didn't mind it.
I don't see. I've always found the stops in any like remix to be really frustrating, and it's just like, just play the damn song.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that Elvis keeps repeating Suspicion, and it becomes a club track essentially.
Yeah.
Like something you want to get up and bust a move and throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care.
Suspicion torments my heart. Suspicion, 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 suspicion,
You know what they could have done? At the end, they could have dropped a rhyme by a rapper.
They could
and then
have
gone back to Elvis.
Yeah.
Would have been great. Maybe I'll drop a rhyme in there by like Tupac or Biggie or something. Or how about this? I'll spit some fire myself.
Oh, I would love to
"Yo,
hear that.
Yo, I'll be like, yo, put my headphones up, turn my headphones up, yo, and that's all I keep saying. Yo, all right, okay. Yo, 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 put my headphones up. Well, this worked once, let's do it again. Yo, 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 Maybe you can blame RC and the Colonel because they didn't release it as a single in 62. Yo, 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 It's so inferior to Elvis's.
Every time you kiss me, I'm still not certain that you love me.
Well, speaking of dropping a rapper in, what about the It's Only Love American Dreamin' mashup by Cookin' Soul?
Far away, niggas starving, nothing wrong with aim. Just gotta change the target. I got dreams of bag of Skittles, the size of pillows. I see pies every time my eyes close. I see rides, sixes, I gotta get those. Life's a bitch, I hope to not make her a widow. From the distance of my mind, American dreaming, clock that's ringing says it's time. Just American dreaming, wake up to my destiny. American dreaming.
Oh, yeah. I don't mind this too much at all. It keeps that original Elvis beat in there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they add a drum machine. And Elvis is pretty much used as the hook here, or the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
Although it keeps repeating the same verse, like that from the distance of my mind, and then clocking rings, what the clock's ringing, saying it's time.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. But if you know the original Elvis song, obviously people like us, it's like, man, I need that Elvis chorus when he's like, where he's screaming, "It's only love."
Yeah.
But we do get that at the very, very end, which is, I guess,
and then it fades out. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a great climax. But whenever I hear Elvis singing that during the rest of the song, I'm like, I need that chorus. And they don't give it to me. They just keep repeating those originals. But what did you think of it?
No, I've spoken before about the Cook and Soul Jay-Z Elvis mashup album, and I thought it was very well produced. Used a lot of 70s recordings to basically serve as the backdrop for the American Dreamin' album, the rap vocals from that. But I do like this. Interestingly, I was listening to the lyrics of American Dreamin', and the lyrics, if you notice, they actually name drop the Depeche Mode song Personal Jesus, which was inspired by Elvis and Priscilla's relationship.
And I see the lights right there, it seems right there, it's not quite near, it's not like we're professionals, moving the decimals, know where the cop now, gotta connect, no, who in the F knows how to be successful, need personal Jesus, I'm in Depeche Mode, say celestial, solid stars, like Tony the Russo, how you play your cards, you ain't fucking with me.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so there's a connection here, unknowingly. Yeah,
the original Jay-Z song was actually based off Marvin Gaye.
That's right, it was.
They sampled Gaye on it as well. So. To me, it's weird. Me and rap have an odd history. Like, I blazed hard on it in the 80s and 90s, but then I stopped listening in like 2003-ish. So I don't know how your history with rap is.
It's been sort of hit and miss for me over the years. Like, I go through phases where I will listen to rap for like a month, and then I won't listen to rap for like another year.
And what do you like? You listen to current stuff?
Sometimes current, sometimes older. Sometimes I'll go to like way back to like the 80s.
Yeah, which is excellent.
So,
like, that's the golden era.
Yeah, I don't mind some of modern rap. I just have a preference for traditional hip hop because I
just shake my head.
It's stylistically more similar to 70s. I mean, they're still making like proper songs. They're not just stream of consciousness.
Yeah,
which is its own art form and is absolutely great. I've heard some fantastic modern rap songs. Don't get me wrong, but I also like give me some structure, man. Give me some structure. So.
I'm like the old guy. Whenever I'm with younger cousins, they have Drake or whoever playing. I'm like, you got back in my day.
Also, I really don't care for rap where it's just not relatable. Where it's the more aspirational stuff. Where it's I'm gonna have my grill. I'm gonna have all my all the riches and all the bling and and the women and stuff like that.
That's not relatable to you, or it is?
It's not relatable at all.
You're not going to have the bling and all the
women. Well, so you go listen to stuff about like personal life, whether that's in the hood or whether that's with like talking about family. Yeah, I can relate to that. I can empathize with that. I can't empathize with just partying. Like, that's just not. I don't empathize with partying at all. So
if you want to listen to rap that makes you think, listen to Tupac. Listen to Brenda's Got a Baby and Dear Mama and Keep Your Head Up. That stuff, classic.
So from one mashup to another, Elvis versus Run DMC.
Oh, I love this. We get a bunch of samples smashed together.
Yes.
Man, it's main part is from Run DMC's Walk This Way.
Yes,
which was,
Aerosmith.
With Aerosmith, back in the 80s. And wow, we get Elvis from the 68 special, rocking out to Blue Suede Shoes. And we get, was it Joseph Run Simmons and Daryl DMC McDaniels dropping their rhymes. And it flows so nicely together.
It hypothetically should not work. But it works better than you think it would.
Yeah, it's we get that one for the money, two for the, I love that, and then we get Hound Dog too.
Yeah. And then for some
together.
reason, inexplicably, we get a little bit of Under Pressure.
Or Ice Ice Baby,
Queen and Bowie,
whichever you prefer.
Yeah, whichever.
Yeah, it just ends with that, which is nice. I mean, I added this to my rotation. I'm like, as soon as I heard Run DMC, I'm like, oh, this is going on my rotation. I know right away I'll like this. That's
Nice.
good. It's really, really. Where'd you get this? It's really good.
This is from a video on YouTube
Oh, okay.
that somebody they had an inkling to mash this up. They just wanted to do it.
Nice. Really good.
Yeah. One that I wanted to talk about too that originally I sourced from YouTube is his latest Flame, Spancox. It's been kind of I heard it originally on YouTube, and then I've since found the album again. This was off the Reloaded album.
Reloaded? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Came by today, 'cause he was telling everyone in town of the love that he just found and the reasoning of his latest fame. He talked and talked, and I heard him say that she had the longest, blackest hair, the prettiest green eyes anywhere, and the reasoning of his latest fame.
But what do you think of Spancox's version of his latest Flame?
I think this is probably one of my favorite Spancock remixes. He basically turned his latest Flame into a dance song. Like, you could hear this at a club, and it would fit well. I listen to this, and I want to move. I mean, I'm sure people would point and laugh at me if I did, but I don't care. I'd be like Jennifer Beals in Flashdance, dancing my heart away. So if you listen closely, you can actually hear the original beat underneath.
Mm-hmm. That
So
Bo
obviously
Diddley
old-
beat.
Yeah, so obviously old Spancock didn't have the acapella to do the proper remix. Sounds like he just maybe turned the bass or treble down, and then maybe trimmed one of the channels away, and then laid the new beat over it. But yeah, I think he does an excellent job here. This has been on my rotation like since I first heard it. And my kids really love this. What do you think of it?
So his latest Flame, the Spancox remix, may actually be the biggest hit that Elvis has had in the 21st century, and it hasn't officially counted for him.
Why do you say that?
Because when you Google, or not Google, but if you go into YouTube and you type in Elvis remix, a video comes up with this song on it with over 24 million views since it was uploaded in 2018. Now, now the next one that comes up at just about 24 million views as well is the original Little Less Conversation official music video, which has been up on the official Elvis channel for over 9 years. So for over 9 years, 24 million for the original A Little Less Conversation remix versus this one within about a year and a half, 24 million views on his latest Flame. Now, granted, some people are probably drawn in by the video that was used to
girls
accompany
dancing.
it. Yes, shuffle dancing girls. But, I mean, the music is still there.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, they're grooving with it, so it's great.
and I'm torn because part of me like gets a little suspicious when I see numbers like 24 million views on an Elvis video, and I kind of go, well, is this like just bots watching videos of
Would
girls?
bots account for that much? And
There's
why
no
this
way.
video?
There's no way. We would have so much more manipulation on like actual content out there if this was bots. Like, this has to be genuine, and it just blows me away. So this may actually be one of Elvis's biggest hits in the 21st century.
Well, what do you think of it? You didn't tell us what you thought of it. The
I
song.
love it. It's
like it?
great.
Okay.
It's fun.
Yeah.
This is one of
He did a good
Spancock's-
job, didn't he?
Yeah, he did a really good job on this.
Yeah.
And so as a contrast, Spancox's version of "Riding the Rainbow" from the Relive album, which is, it's not bad, but it's much more of your bog standard Spankox remix. It's they just added beats, nothing outrageous.
Yeah, he kept the original for the most part on this one.
I'm living to love and loving to live. I've got a heart I'm longing to give. I'm riding the rainbow. I'll follow my star to where you are.
What'd you think of this?
I don't mind it because as we both said, he kept the original beat. Just added maybe more bass, snapping, give it more pop, like punch it up a little.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like I don't think the Elvis purists would hate this as much as they would the others because that original sound is still there. It's just elevated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, that was the thing with listening to all of Spankox's remix albums that have come out is that usually for whatever single from each album he puts out, he tends to do a little more kind of making it more like something like A Little Less Conversation or Rubberneckin', where it's a little more transformed. But then most of the rest of the album tends to just be the normal arrangement with some overdubbed, beats and stuff like that, and some effects. How do you think this compared to the reggae version of it?
The reggae one. Not too bad at all. Surprisingly, Elvis's vocals fit over a reggae beat very well.
I'm living to love and loving to live. I've got a heart I'm longing to give. I'm riding the rainbow. I'll follow my star to where you are.
Wasn't there another one like Pocket Full of Rainbows mixed with reggae also?
Yeah, on Volume 2 we talked about Pocket Full of Rainbows, and what was the other one that we talked about? Was it Return to Sender, I think, was the other reggae one?
So Elvis's 2 Rainbow songs have been reggae-fied.
Yes. Go ahead.
I thought we needed some background vocals to echo what Elvis is saying in the chorus, maybe some Jamaican voices would have been really good to,
yeah.
Hey man, yeah, Mr. Lover man, Shaba. No, I don't know, just some because it's just Elvis over that reggae beat. Maybe if we had some background vocalists piping in now and then would have been good. Could have added to the overall effect. Obviously, this person who remixed it, they just did it themselves, so they don't have people to sing with it. But
well, and also it's noticeable that the voice, the vocal isn't very clean. They very much used EQ to kind of, put down the music as much as possible and bring Elvis's voice up. And you can tell by the audio quality that Elvis's voice, it's quieter. It sounds kind of there's definitely digital artifacts there, but I like the laid back arrangement of the reggae music. It fits the mood of the song better when you go back and you watch Kid Galahad and he's just cruising down the road slow. This fits very well with the personality of that character.
So what do we got next?
Speaking of shifting things to a different genre, Mean Woman Blues.
Oh,
the Elvis X remix.
overly rock, which is okay, but it takes a few listens for me to kind of enjoy it, I think.
Yeah.
Do you not like it?
So, no, I actually do like this one, but my original time... So I gave some background on where these rock remixes came from. There was a former ETA by the name of Travis LeDoit who was pitching this to Sony as, like, let's make an Elvis rock, like... contemporary alternative rock arrangements on Elvis songs, and here's how this could sound. And so he did a version where he used Elvis's voice, and then he also produced a version later on with his own voice doing an Elvis vocal. as an ETA. But my initial listening to these, it did take a couple, because you listen to it and it's so different that you're like, do I like this? Do I not like it? And sometimes for a lot of people, you hear it that first time and you get that initial reaction and you just say, oh, I hate it. Well,
it sounds like you're listening to like a Blink 182 song.
Totally.
The small things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, mid 2000s alternative rock. But as you listen to it a little more, you take a few more listens and you see where he's going with it, and then you kind of get into it. You're like, oh, okay, I see how this kind of fits in here.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Mean Woman Blues. And this one actually, more so than I think pretty much any of the other songs he uses on that album, keeps the hard driving spirit of the original. So even by comparison to the other one that we have, Put the Blame on Me, which uses new lyrics and kind of splices up Elvis's vocal at times to kind of sound like new deliveries. Yeah. Mean Woman Blues definitely keeps the spirit of the original. Yeah. What do you think of Put the Blame on Me? Now that we're talking about it anyway.
I'll take the blame. Just did what I made you do. Love me, I love you too. So if the way they talk can bother you, tell them who to blame. Put the blame on me. Tell them it was me now. Oh.
Yeah, so I wonder is, does this song really fit the musical accompaniment? Because the original was slower, more groovy, and this just rocks out. And as you said, Elvis's vocals are cut up to fit the beat better.
Yes.
So it doesn't flow as well as Mean Woman Blues. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was not. I like the other one better, even though that one took me a while to enjoy it. This one, I don't know if I would actually ever get into it. What do you think?
No, it's okay. I think it's interesting the way he kind of tries to use Elvis's vocal in different ways. The go ahead and use my name, I'll take the blame.
Yeah.
It's weird to hear Elvis kind of chopped up like that. Mm-hmm. And so going back to Don't Cry Daddy or In the Ghetto, the duets with Lisa Marie, there are times in those where Lisa had taken Elvis's voice and shifted it to where he was like responding to her in a way. Yeah. And so it can be a very interesting thing to do on these types of, reworkings. But it does take some getting used to.
I'll take the blame. When I held you tight, when we kissed goodnight.
Remember, there used to be actual remixes called Chopped Up.
I don't remember that.
Oh,
it was before
so
my time.
That was so bad. Don't listen to those.
Another one that I wanted to talk about, which is maybe more in line with what some people might like, Tweedledee, the Swing Cats remix.
Speaking of the Stray Cats.
So who were the Swing Cats?
I don't know. Who were the Stray Cats?
So the Swing Cats were actually a neo-rockabilly group that included the former Stray Cat members Lee Rocker and Slim Jim Phantom.
Yes.
Basically, this was the Stray Cats minus Brian Setzer.
Wasn't he the main driving force in that?
Well, I mean, kind of. But, I mean, so listening to this, clearly they're perfectly fine musicians.
Yeah. But the rockabilly is strong with this one, isn't it?
Very much so.
I just wish Elvis sounded more clear.
Yeah.
But obviously, what are you going to do? It's still good. I do like it.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
Yeah, this kind of gives us something resembling a pretty faithful studio version with an extended instrumental, rockabilly break. because the Hayride recordings were generally public domain, they're able to use these without a whole lot of pushback. I remember I actually picked this one up off Amazon.
You
10
bought
years
it?
ago. They had it for sale on Amazon UK or US for the longest time.
Right.
It's not up there now, but it's not hard to find at all.
When was this? You said 10 years ago?
I think so. Yeah.
Were you aware of the Laverne Baker version at this point, or no?
Yes. I
Okay.
was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering what your history was with Twiddly D.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, I really first started diving into like the originals of Elvis songs in about 2009, 2010. Was when I like really kind of started digging into that, because that was around the time that I discovered Roy Hamilton as well.
That magic year.
Yes. So,
Cool.
So then we've got some overdubs. We've got both of these are from an album that came out, I think, around 2011. It was called Like Nobody, referring to the line, I don't sound like nobody.
Right.
But essentially, I don't remember the guy who was responsible for this, but I remember him putting up a thing saying, here's this album. I personally went in and added new guitars, new overdubs. He added even a couple times you can hear him doing some additional backing vocals on some of the songs on this album. But it was really just trying to do more remixes and overdubs in a style that Elvis, that fit with Elvis. It wasn't like remixes, like dance remixes.
Right.
It was very much like just fleshing out songs that didn't have, like Dark Moon. It's this very kind of sparse home recording when you listen to it. Not bad. It was one of your songs of the week.
Yep.
But this one, they actually...
Not bad. It's a good song.
It's good. But he fleshes it out to make it sound like it would have been performed at the 68 special during like the sit-down portion.
Notes I had. I was
Yes.
like, totally made this as part of that 68 special.
Yes. Even the guitar parts are like totally Elvis on Scotty's guitar. And
Yes.
Way up high up in the sky, oh tell me why you've lost your splendor. Dark moon, what is the cause your life was frozen? Is it because I lost my love?
You can get the audience. You can kind of hear them.
yeah, even at the beginning and the end, they throw that in there. What do you think of this?
Oh, I love this. I mean, it's excellent. I mean, this is on my rotation now. I love this song so much that I wish Elvis would have recorded a proper version of the song.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so like down and dirty and bluesy, which is interesting because the original wasn't like this at all. It's like a country pop type ballad. But wow, excellent what he did with this song. It's great. I love it.
From the same album is also an overdub on the $1 Million Quartet, the 50s version of Little Cabin Home on the Hill.
Ah.
Tonight I'm alone without you, my dear. It seems there's a longing for you still. But I'll just keep the best so I won't be alone in our little cabin home on the hill. Where someone had taken you from me and left me here all alone to listen to the rain blown out the door in our little cabin home on the hill.
What do you think of Little Cabin Home on the Hill?
I was like, when I put this on, I was like, what is this, the Beverly Hillbilly soundtrack? And then Elvis kicks in with the Little Cabin Home on the Hill, obviously from what you said, the $1 Million Quartet, and which was a previous song of the week for me. And I was like, wow. Now, granted, I don't typically listen to overly country tracks like this, but man, I love this version.
This is pretty seamless. It's
I
surprising.
can overlook that. Yeah, it sounds really good. It's like a party atmosphere actually going on within the whole song. Like we get laughing and sounds like someone, like this could be like at someone's backyard party where they got like a fire pit going on and someone pulls out a guitar and everyone joins in. It's great.
Yeah.
I added this to my playlist.
Wow.
I know. It's
high
crazy.
praise. High praise.
I like it. I like it all because I like Elvis's vocals on this 50s version of the song rather than the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why I was sucked in.
Absolutely. No, that's partly why I like this one so much as well, is that it sounds like Elvis is having fun. And when you go back and you listen to the $1 Million Quartet version like we did when we reviewed that session, Elvis is clearly having fun singing with everyone, with Jerry Lee and Carl and Johnny, and he's having fun. So
yeah, it's excellent. Great.
And then the last one that I wanted to highlight is a TCBcast exclusive. Exclusive.
People heard a preview of this before.
Yes. On our live show, we gave a little short snippet preview, but a mashup. Not really a remix proper in the sense of, or even a mashup in the sense of like the Run DMC one, but it is a mashup between two different recordings. It's You'll Never Walk Alone.
Walk on through the wind. Walk on through the rain. Blow your dreams before and roll. Walk on.
Yeah, your boys together in one track. What magic is at work here?
What sorcery?
You're like a shaman. I need to come over to your house and show you this thing on my foot. It's great. I just, what did you do? You stripped Elvis's background vocals, right? Using that process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I only wish Elvis was sounded a bit more clear, because you can kind of tell.
Yeah,
it has been stripped, but wow. Otherwise, it's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Good job here. You have them both going back and forth, which is a nice touch, and then harmonizing.
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah, I was able to.
How did you do this? Tell us.
I mean, you pretty much described the process. It's,
I took the magic out.
Yeah.
Longer, the shaman of the village. The wizard has been revealed as a fraud.
He's literally just doing card tricks. It's not even real magic.
Not even good magic. Okay, so what inspired you to do this?
So what inspired me to do this was going back and re-listening to that 66 version of Roy Hamilton's recording when I was editing our interview with Roy Jr. I was listening to it and I was like, this really does sound a lot like Elvis's his 67 version. Yes. That opening intro with the piano is almost identically copied by the guitar at the intro of Elvis's version. And I was like, I wonder if they sound like they're in the same key. Are they? Mm-hmm. So I threw them through the little processor where you can separate out the vocal and the instrumentation. And on Roy's, I just kind of dropped Elvis's on there just to see where it matched up, see if it sounded all right. Mm-hmm. And then sure enough, Elvis's vocal came in, and I did have to change some of the tempo a bit in a couple places on Elvis's voice where he got ahead of where Roy was at on his original recording, but it was just interesting going in and listening and kind of piecing it together and trying to find, and you notice as you're listening to it, even more so, finally layering them over each other, how closely Elvis was mirroring what Roy was doing on his RCA version from '66.
For sure.
Walk on with a hole in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
And yeah, so those there weren't a lot of lines where I felt comfortable overlapping them, and even with the parts where they kind of harmonize a little bit, and then Elvis comes in a little later, his delivery is a bit more delayed, like right at the end where he goes, alone. I decided rather than moving Elvis's voice up and matching that with Roy's, I would just let it play out because it serves almost as a musical counterpoint to what Roy's doing there.
Yeah, he's just kind of repeating him and following him along, which is good. It's great. I mean,
surprised how well it worked.
Yeah. Now, did you also have to strip the instrumentation off Roy's version so you can get just the audio?
I did have to. Yeah. I ran it through the same process, but I kept obviously Roy's vocal there as well, and kind of bounced between. So I've got the bass instrumental underneath, and then I've got Elvis's vocal and Roy's vocal, and then I'm bouncing back and forth. And what's weird is that Elvis's vocal is obviously not as clean as Roy's, because Roy's, he's got so much bass and he's got this booming voice that when you run his through any of these processes, it just stands out. Like it's like so like throwing in Johnny Cash as well. Like I've played around with his stuff. It always sounds really clean because Johnny was always had this big booming voice, whereas Elvis, his was much more, especially in the songs where he's in his baritone range or up in his tenor, it kind of gets a little muddled because the music is sort of on that same frequency.
Yep.
So, yeah, you can tell that Elvis is pulled from somewhere. Obviously, if I had a cleaner Elvis vocal, it would sound better. But no, it's a mashup.
But yeah, good job, great.
Thank you.
You've had positive feedback from the people.
Yeah. I think I haven't sent it to him yet, but I'm going to send this over to Roy Jr. and see what he thinks. Yeah.
What if he just crashes? He's like, "What'd you do to my dad's stuff?" He blocks you.
Blasphemy.
Why? I'm the shaman.
With that, we've wrapped another Elvis remix episode.
Is there more remixes?
Oh god, there's so much more.
Really?
So much more. I was telling Ryan.
How many volumes can we get out of this?
I was telling Ryan on the last time that we did this that you do that first episode and it was like, okay, here are the official remixes, the ones that are mostly authorized, ones that people maybe haven't heard but they were okayed by Sony or they were okayed by EPE. Then you move into the second one and it's like, okay, here's the very best of the unofficial remixes. And now we're getting into this one and it's like, okay, there's still quite a bit more here. It's going to be at least another volume of good ones before we start getting into, I don't know about this. But I think we could probably pull off 3 or 4 more of these. Not all of them would be good, but...
Okay. But then that's going to be great because we can, we can riff on them.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
sure. Cool.
All right. Well, shall we head on over to Song of the Week?
Let's do it. Let's dance. Let's club dance over to Song of the Week.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, Elvis Presley.
Well, since my baby left me,
All the memories are lingering in my heart.
ooh, I feel my temperature rising.
You wrote upon it.
Return to sender, address unknown. But the man who can sing when he hasn't got a thing, he's a king
Of the whole wide world.
Viva, viva Las Vegas.
All right. What do you got?
So, my song of the week is Mona Lisa.
Ah.
Song not really associated with Elvis, but he did sing it.
Mona Lisa, in her big blue. You're so like the lady with the mystic smile. Is it only 'cause you're lonely they have blamed you for that Mona Lisa strangeness in your smile?
So the song was written by Ray Evans and Jay Livingston. When I always hear that name, I'm like, Dr. Livingston, I presume? From those cartoons I always remember. So they were very prolific film composers and songwriters, and they collaborated many times on such films as the original Easy Come, Easy Go, which I didn't even know there was one from 47, Sunset Boulevard from 49, the James Dean Story from 57, Wait Until Dark from 62. And they also worked on TV and came out with the theme songs for Peter Gunn, Bonanza, and Mr. Ed. So they got some pedigree. So they wrote Mona Lisa for the film Captain Carey USA in 1950, and the song won an Oscar for Best Original Score in 1950. The film takes place in World War II, and the song is actually sung in Italian, and it's used like a warning device whenever a German patrol is nearby. And the song in the film is sung by David Leonard. Now, if you listen to this version, you'll get that familiar tune, but it's sung even more softer. Not bad.
Forse perché sei sola biassimata, quell'altra Mona Lisa ricordante, sorridi per tentarci, Mona Lisa, o nascondi qualche crudel dolor, ad portansi molti
The song, obviously, itself is about Leonardo da Vinci's famous Mona Lisa painting, which you actually talked about previously.
Yeah.
Putting a mustache on her, which is weird. I was going to say that, but I was like, oh, that's going to give away that's going to totally give it away. So, and the person who's singing the song wonders, about the original painting, who she was, and, does he kind of essentially falls in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
So, because the song was really a throwaway tune in the film, Evans and Livingston pitched the song to Nat King Cole, who used it as a B-side to his single "The Greatest Inventor," and this was on Capitol Records. The version by Nat King Cole is nice. I love how it starts off slowly with the acoustic guitar, and then Cole comes in with his smooth vocals, and we get that sweeping orchestral arrangement of the violins during the music breaks.
Mona Lisa, men have named you. You're so like the lady with a mystic smile.
Really good. His voice is like soothing. No wonder he's popular with both black and white audiences. Do you remember hearing the original Mona Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think of it?
It's great.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
Nice.
Yeah.
So during the press junket for the film, Captain Carey, Evans and Livingston brought the Nat King Cole version with them to various radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
And then by them pushing it so hard, it became a hit. And it was later included in the Captain Carey soundtrack and went on to spend 5 weeks on the Billboard charts, #1 position in 1950. Mm-hmm. Now, because of how popular the song was, there's so many covers throughout the years. Like Cole's version wasn't even the first. That goes to Charlie Spivak and his orchestra, although it's a very generic version in 1950.
They just lie there and they die there. Are you warm? Are you real, Mona Lisa? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely work of art?
Alone in 1950, there was 10 versions of this song, so it's crazy. Now I'm going to jump to 1959. Rockabilly singer Carl Mann from Huntington, Tennessee, was just signed to Sun Records by Cecil Scaife, who was their promotion manager. Mann had been playing around with Nat King Cole's Mona Lisa, and played around with the arrangement and created a rockabilly version. And Scaife heard this, and he excitedly took this version to Sam. And Sam, unfortunately, wasn't interested at all. He just didn't like it. I could just picture, going back to our joke, Mr. Phillips, I have wonderful news. What's that? You hit uranium? And then Sam just brushing him off. So weeks go by, and Conway Twitty happens to call up Scaife. They were old friends. He would just happen to see if he had any material that he can use in the Sun publishing catalog. Because Conway was just coming off his "It's Only Make Believe" a hit, and he wanted a strong follow-up. So Scaife played Carl Mann's version to Conway, and Conway got all excited, and Scaife said he could borrow the arrangement, but only release it as an album cut, because he still had hopes of releasing it as a single version for Sun. So Conway recorded it and put it out on his first album, Conway Twitty Sings.
Well, Mona Lisa, man has named you. You're so like that lady with a mystic smile. Is it only 'cause you're lonely they have named you? For that Mona Lisa strain is in your smile. Well,
this album actually has a version of You'll Never Walk Alone, which you might want to check out. It's pretty good. Not the vocal treat like your boy Roy, but Conway does a nice poppy version of it. So maybe check that out.
Cool.
So Conway's record company, MGM, loved this version of Mona Lisa, and they put out an EP which started climbing the charts. And they also released it as a single in the UK, which hit number 5. So they were, they didn't release it as a single, but, they kind of did. So Conway's version is probably my favorite version of the song, because this is rockabilly goodness here. I love the way Twitty sings the song. He seems like he's having fun with hiccuping vocals, and I love the way he says hi to broken heart. Plus the guitar riff during the musical break is great, and the ending of it sounds like something Elvis would have recorded.
Are you warm? Are you real, Mona Lisa? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely work of art? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely work of art? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely work of art?
Did you ever hear Conway's version?
No, I haven't, but I'm just imagining, or just a cold and lonely, lovely work of art.
So Scaife saw the success of Twitty's version, and how it was doing, and he goes to Sam. He goes, "Yo, dude, we're losing a hit here." And Sam's like, "No, because we don't put out mediocre products." I don't know why he was against this song so much. It's very, very crazy. But Scaife was like, "Screw it," and he put it out anyway. And surprise, surprise, it became a hit for Carl Mann. It reached 25 on the Billboard charts.
Well, in a villa in a little old Italian town lives a girl whose beauty shames her rose. Many dreams have been brought to her, but they all come down. What does she want? Nobody knows.
So, if you listen to Mann's version, although there are some similarities to Conway's, his vocal delivery is more straight, more deliberate, not as loose, but it's still really good. That lead guitar by Eddie Bush is fantastic. When I say I like Conway's version more, it doesn't mean this version by Mann is bad. It's just personal preference. I think I heard Conway's rockabilly version first. Have you heard Carl Mann's version or no?
I don't think I have. I'll have to listen to it.
Okay. So let's get to Elvis's version from December of '58. This is the home recording at the Hotel Grunwald in Bad Nauheim, Germany. So obviously, listen to Elvis sing it. You can tell that his was like more of a homage to Nat King Cole's version.
Yes.
I love Elvis's vocals here. It's like soft and tender as he's strumming along with the guitar. I guess the second verse he forget because he's just humming along, which is, this is what you would do at home, right? It's not a performance. It's something that he's just doing for his own pleasure.
For there's Mona Lisa's strangeness in your smile.
And then, you know, when he starts to hit those high notes toward the end, it's really, really good. What do you think of Elvis's version of...
No, I really like how intimate it is. And I thought it was nice that they included it in The Searcher, primarily. Because I don't think...
Did they?
They did, yes. And I don't think a lot of people, like the general public, are aware that Elvis did this very beautiful... You know, the audio quality is kind of, you know, meh. But... But it's this very, very intimate, you know, kind of...
like a private moment. You're getting a look into a private moment.
It's not timid, but it's very... it's a sentimental performance.
Yeah, yeah. Now, this song's something he could have easily tackled in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could have had a great track with it as well. But for me personally, I would have loved to hear a rockabilly version like Man and Twitties that Elvis would have done. Because I think he could have done something special there. But... probably at this point, he wouldn't have bothered recording a rockabilly version of this because he was moving on to his different musical styles, and rockabilly was something he did in like 55, 56. So, let me correct myself. I would love to have a 1955 version of Elvis tackle this song. Would have been something. Elvis's version first came out on that Legendary Performer Volume 4, which is a great album I picked up in the late 80s. Because this was the first time I heard One Night of Sin and Plantation Rock and that laughing version of Are You Lonesome Tonight. They were all on this Legendary Performer Volume 4.
Many dreams have been brought to your doorstep. They just lie there and they die there. Are you warm? Are you real, Mona Lisa? Or just a cold, lonely, lovely
work? So, as I said, everyone and their cousin recorded a version of this, so I won't bore you with like a ton of versions except for these two. The Bell Black Combo released an instrumental version in 1960, which is great. There's a great sax on it. It's very smooth, jazzy. Something you would play in the background if you were hosting like a dinner party. We also have an organ on this thing, so you might not like that, but you know, still very good, still very good. And lastly, Sam Cooke recorded a version in 1960 on his album Hits from the 50s.
Which is excellent.
Oh, man, this version. Wow. Vocally, I think Sam is better than Nat King Cole.
Wow.
I love this dude's voice. Like, we get the harp going on in the background, the flute during the musical breaks. So calming. We get Sam's vocal flourishes.
Many dreams have been brought to your doorstep. They just lie there and they die there. Are you warm? Are you real, Mona Lisa? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely work?
I mean, so you've heard it. What do you think of it?
I don't get me wrong. I love Sam Cooke's version of it. I don't necessarily agree with you that it's better than Nat King Cole's.
I do, because I love Sam's voice.
Well, obviously you agree with yourself.
I do. I agree with myself 100%. I mean, can this guy sing a bad song? Like, is it possible?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, so good, so good. Yeah, but I'm gonna die on that hill, and I'm gonna say I prefer Sam's version. For when it comes to the slow version of the song, for me it's Sam Cooke. Not that Nat King Cole's is bad. I like that as well, but for me it's Sam. And for the rockabilly, it's got to be Conway Twitty. But yeah, that's my song of the week.
Good pick.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
What do you got?
So my song of the week has a weird coincidence. It's actually the Peter Gunn theme. which was written originally by Henry Mancini for the 1958 TV series, and later on was adapted by Ray Evans and Jay Livingston, the writers of Mona Lisa.
Okay, now were you like, what the hell?
Yes, very much so.
When I was just talking about it?
It was adapted into a song with lyrics called Bye Bye, which was recorded later on by Sarah Vaughan.
Every night your line is busy, all that buzzing makes me dizzy. Couldn't count on all my fingers, all the dates you had with swingers. Boy, bye, boy, baby, I'm gonna kiss you goodbye and go right through that doorway.
And later on also by the Anita Kerr Singers. And that may actually be the best adaptation of the song. But anyway, going back to Henry Mancini, was a composer, arranger, conductor, very famous in the mid-20th century for his film work, particularly the Pink Panther, Breakfast at Tiffany's, the 1968 movie Romeo and Juliet, the theme of which gave him his only #1 hit. But obviously, everybody, I'm sure, has heard the Pink Panther theme.
Yeah.
And Peter Gunn is still pretty well known today, even, as a theme. Now, the Peter Gunn TV series was actually more of a private detective television series. It wasn't it wasn't James Bond spy. It was much more, just solving a mystery each week.
Watch it?
Yeah. What's that?
Did you actually watch the show?
I think I've watched maybe one episode.
Okay. I don't even know if I've watched that. I might have, but
yeah. But so yeah, that came out in the 50s, and then the first commercial release of the song as a single was actually by Ray Anthony and his orchestra, and the arrangement was actually done by Henry Mancini himself, and so it remains pretty faithful to the television version. It remains much more, kind of big band style. And then it was followed up, though, by Duane Eddy and the Rebels in 1959, which takes, obviously, much more of a rock and roll influence and is a very excellent recording. I'm not sure if you've heard Duane Eddy's version of the Peter Gunn.
I've heard Duane Eddy's songs, but not this one.
Yeah, no, this is a great
Rebel Rouser.
Yeah, this is maybe the best instrumental version that I personally like.
Nice.
And then, so following, 58, 59, it was basically recorded by just about every instrumental group in existence because it was a pretty simple song to play. And in fact, in 1964, the Bill Black Combo also did the Peter Gunn theme.
Talk about coincidences between our two songs.
And it's definitely, the Bill Black Combo were, as we talked about before on their episode about them, very much, party style, night, lounge music. It's not, Bill Black Combo was never going to have a massive standout hit in 1964 when the Beatles are storming the scene, but it's not bad. Now, Elvis had a couple different versions, dating back to 1968 and then also 1970. But before I get to Elvis's, I just want to highlight a couple other ones that were released before Elvis's was released. The Blues Brothers famously did it in 1980, and I really, really like the Blues Brothers version of it. It's really a fun recording to listen to. And then, as I mentioned, the Sarah Vaughan and the Anita Kerr singers version of Bye Bye, which was the lyrical adaptation of the Peter Gunn theme. I really, really like Sarah Vaughan's version of it. She's got this smoky, really neat vocal. And then there's also a remix that was done of her recording that's out on YouTube, and I really, really like that. The Anita Kerr singers, they're a little more, how would I put this? It's very plain. The harmonies are good. The arrangement's not bad. But compared to Sarah Vaughan's version, it's pretty plain Jane.
I didn't even know there was lyrics to this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it wasn't lyrics until like the mid '60s.
And Livingston and Evans came up with those.
Yes.
Crazy, because when I researched them, it said that they had done the theme, but I guess it means that they didn't compose the music; they came up with the lyrics.
Correct.
Interesting.
So you were wrong, sir.
Well, I was wrong, kind of. I just parroted what someone else did. I should have looked at different sources. Take me 2 months to come up with my song of the week.
So Elvis's the first version that Elvis did that we heard was released. The 1970 version from "That's the Way It Is" rehearsals was released in 2000 on a 3 CD set that accompanied the re-release of the film in its new edit. Have you heard the 1970 TCB band Elvis rehearsal version of the Peter Gunn theme?
Yep, I heard it.
Yes, it's about.
Was this in that "Walk a Mile in My Shoe" or no?
No, it was not.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that always had it, but I did hear it. And I remember getting it. Whatever album it first had, I remember getting it.
Yeah, this was on the "That's the Way It Is" 3 CD set. Mm-hmm. And so this one's kind of fun. It's about a minute long, and the band is much more involved than they are on the other Elvis version that is known to exist. And it actually, I kind of wish that they had followed through and actually just did a full version of this. I would have loved to have seen Elvis do this live. I think it would have been a ton of fun, even if he literally just
sing
did
it or just the instrumental.
So there's the instrumental, and Elvis comes in with the da no, like vocally, he's doing the horn section, and then of course, it being Elvis, he like makes his voice like break and squeak. And he's laughing, and he goofs around, but it's really fun. It's professionally recorded, so it's much better quality than the other version. Later on the FTD Let Yourself Go, and more recently on the box set, the Complete 68 Comeback Special, the rehearsal version surfaced from the 1968 special, the NBC TV special, when Elvis was essentially backstage working on, what songs he was going to sing. And so he was doing, stuff like Baby What You Want Me to Do, and he even played around with Blue Moon of Kentucky at one point. But he also plays around with the Peter Gunn theme in 1968. So clearly he was still intrigued by this song, even as early as 1968 and into 1970. And this one is also, it's quite a bit longer, and Elvis does more of the horns with his voice. And somebody tries to get his attention. I don't know if it's Steve Binder or not. It sounds like it might be Steve, but he's trying to get Elvis's attention. He's just not paying attention. He's so into the song.
Elvis. Suck it to me time.
But it's pretty fun. It's pretty. What do you think of the two different versions that we know to exist from Elvis?
I mean, they're great. It's. I wonder if Elvis would have tackled the lyrical song.
I don't know. I don't know that he would have.
Because I haven't even heard that version with the lyrics, but
yeah.
I think this is a show that Elvis watched and enjoyed. That's why.
Yeah, the show totally would have been up Elvis's alley.
Yeah, so that's why we're getting him doing the instrumental version of it. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't do more things like this, like the James Bond theme or whatever.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, obviously the show having come out in the late 50s came out way before the James Bond theme was written, because the first, Dr. No came out in 1960, I believe.
Early 60s.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly.
It was very early 60s. But where I actually first heard any version of the Peter Gunn theme was for the video game Spy Hunter. Have you played Spy Hunter?
Is that for the NES?
Yes.
I think maybe, yeah.
And in the arcade. So Bally Midway developed the arcade game Spy Hunter in 1983, and they actually wanted to use the James Bond theme, but they couldn't get the license, and so they ended up settling for the Peter Gunn theme, and it became synonymous with the game. So much so that to an entire generation of kids like me, it was actually much more known as the Spy Hunter theme rather than the Peter Gunn theme. And this was retained. So where I first heard it was on the NES version. When I got my NES, it came with a bunch of games that my aunt and uncle had bought, and that was one of the games. So that was where I first heard this.
Sounds like beeps and clicks.
Yes, totally. But because it became synonymous with the series, the theme was retained in most of the remakes. In the sixth generation on the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox, there was a sort of a remake / reboot, and it has much more of a hip hop style arrangement, which is kind of interesting. And then in the 2012 remake of Spy Hunter, the theme hints at the Peter Gunn, and it has like maybe a light sample of it, but it's much more dubstep and kind of shifts away from the proper Peter Gunn theme. still there. Like the influence is still there, and it's
Right.
still associated with the Spy Hunter series.
Nice.
So yeah, when I actually first heard Elvis doing this in the early 2000s,
Elvis is doing Spy Hunter.
That was my thought. Like I was like, oh, what's this Peter Gunn theme from? On this, That's the Way It Is release, and I listened to it. I'm like, wait a minute, that's Spy Hunter.
Yeah. Elvis is into NES. Oh my god.
Yeah. But it's just a really fun recording. It's short. It's not, there's not a lot to it, but Elvis is having fun. And I just really wanted to highlight, some of the history behind it, with Henry Mancini and, some of these other versions, particularly, like I said, the Sarah Vaughan Bye Bye version. And it's just a weird coincidence that version has the same songwriters as the song you picked, Mona Lisa.
That's so weird.
So
many crossovers here. Dr. No was 62, by the way.
62, okay.
That's
right, because Fun in Acapulco was 63, which Ursula Andress was also in. So, that was my song of the week.
Excellent. Very good. I wonder how people will react to your song of the week.
They'll be like, really? Really? Is this an Elvis song? Yes, it is an Elvis song. It got its own track on the track list for these. So, there's one other version that's known to exist. I don't know where it's at. I can't find a copy of it. Apparently, there's a bootleg release called Elvis on Tour Deluxe Edition. And apparently, Elvis, in a rehearsal, does a short. He just sort of breaks into it for a little bit in 1972. I can't find it. So somewhere out there in the void, there's a 1972 version as well.
Maybe it's on that bootleg I just uncovered.
Yeah.
I'll look.
Well, it wasn't live. It was a rehearsal.
Oh, it was a rehearsal. Well,
yeah.
There's some rehearsals on this too.
Okay,
but I don't think it's on here. I don't think it's on here. I'm just going through that track listing. Although he does sing Memphis, Tennessee, which is weird.
Yeah.
In 75. Yeah. And Wouldn't Hard in 71. What? Okay.
What's
to
weird?
Be continued.
What's weird is he's doing this even in 70. Like that show was a 10-year-old TV series by that point. The original the original Peter Gunn show ended in 1961.
Yeah.
So the theme definitely made an impression on him.
Nostalgia was strong for him.
Yes. So that's my song of the week.
Excellent. Very good. Very good job.
All right. So that was another great episode of TCBcast. Fun to talk about remixes and songs of the week. And what are we doing next week?
We don't know yet. We'll come up with something. We had fun during our live show, though. That was nice.
Yeah, that was really fun. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to that live show. I don't know. We've talked about maybe doing a bonus content thing on Tom Jones. I know Robert
people are still waiting for that.
Suggested that. We haven't done that yet. We got distracted. I only have. Let's see. How many? I have one more episode before I get married. After this one.
I know. Can't wait. Single life is over.
And then let's see. You'll have to have someone. Maybe Ryan. Pull Ryan in for the next couple of weeks or something.
Yeah. Try to see if he's available. Otherwise, I'll see who else is available.
Yeah.
I'll try to get somebody. There will be a show.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cool. So. All right. Well, where can they find us, Gurdip?
Everywhere. Spotify, tcbcast.libsyn.com, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast. And if they want to write in,
tcbcast@gmail.com or Facebook or Twitter.
Great. It's been fun. It's been a fun episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, it's a hot time in Florida.
It's a rainy night in Georgia.
You've been listening to the TCBcast, an unofficial Elvis fan podcast. Justin Gosman and Gurdip Ladar have left the building.
Someone must have stomped on his head with those blue suede shoes.
Thank you and good night.